Alright, I'm still streaming tonight. You can count on it. Totally streaming right now. I'm definitely not late. Sleepy Froggy. Sleepy backfired on Froggy. Ah. Yeah, I didn't really have much time to like prep myself per se on like as far as like getting myself energized or like sustaining myself other than sleep. I'm good on that front. So really all I have to say is I had an apple, so you know, there's a possibility of the juice kind of catching my throat at times. Thank you, Life, for hydrate. I did try to alleviate some of the juice effects with some water immediately after. And I guess like the fact that my room has been pretty warm for a little while kind of got to me, because I ended up like slamming the entire drink of water like right after. Nah. So hopefully my throat should be mostly good for some readings. It's been a little while since I did this. I know I was kind of strapped for thinking of like what to do for this stream, and I guess like I decided I wanted something more low-key, something just to vibe to, something chill. Evidently a little too chill, otherwise I wouldn't have missed stream time. Oh well, better late than never. Anyhow, I think we shall jump right into it. Here we are. This is new. Artist showcase? Looks like these three works. Like somebody was working on SCP tarot cards. And then this is 682. I'm not sure about this one. What's this one? It looks super cute. Oh right, there's also little 053 like in the middle there. 3 cards from Sunny Clockwork's tarot deck. Click the image to see the full deck. Ooh. Oh, Miss Sweetie. 2396. I love Miss Sweetie. I love her. Maybe we'll start with her article first. But I really want to look at some of these tarot cards. Ooh. These are based on SCP-001 proposals. Like, this is when day breaks. This is the Black Moon, I think. And I'm not sure what this one is. And that's cool, nonetheless. Fluff Paradox! Thank you for becoming a lily pal. Hello, I was on to peek in on stream. It was very lovely. Oh, thank you! Thank you, thank you! Much appreciated. I appreciate you being here. Let's see. The stars do not wait for you. Ooh. I know about this one. I haven't read it, but like I know it via like animated videos on YouTube that I frequent every so often. That sounded redundant. Never mind. The Scarlet King is the Emperor. Nice. Nice. Sarah Crowley and Stuart Hayward. Aww. Ooh. 580 Shi Wang Ti's Five Heaven Chariot. That's pretty snazzy. A bear and his granddaughter. Huh. Cute. Oh, the old man from nowhere. I know that one. Mecane, the broken god. It's the Wheel of Fortune. That's cool. What happened to Site 13? The what happened to Site 13 is a little bit of a rabbit hole. The Hanged King. Nice. SCP-001, the Children. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. The Lock. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, a lot of these are so cool. Also, welcome, Gubbins. Card back. I see. Beneath two trees. This is Ace of Wands. Oh, they're mixed up. So this is Beneath Two Trees. This is Project Palisade. Cool. Clockworks. Oh, that's pretty cool. That makes a lot of sense. 914 is a super popular one. As below, so above? These are so stylish. I love it. I love minimalism. Or like, it almost looks like they could be like puppet models for shadow plays. So Kane. Wow, look at all the detail on this one. So cool. Yeah, I'm not gonna look at all of them, just Kondraki? That's pretty nice. 13-inch chef's knife. I think I know what this one is. I think. I know Absence of a Knife. It might be this one. Maybe? I don't remember the number. I just remember what the SCP is about. The Gate Guardian? Oh, this is the one that we saw in the thumbnail. Yeah, that's really cool. The deer. Another really big one. And that's really smooth. I like that one a lot. Oh, this is where I died. This one is so... It's so, like, fraught with meta context. I'm not sure if I'll ever get to that one. Dr. Bright. Yeah, that tracks. I am at the center of everything that happens to me. I think I need to refresh myself on this one. I think I remember, like, the basic idea, but yeah. Red Reality, this one's really depressing. Saucer. Oh, these are horoscope cards. Surgeon crabs. This is mine. Oh my god, look at these legs. They're so stylish. The Chinese zodiac. Oh, of course the dragon would be 682. Of course it would be. A harmless kitten? Yeah. That adds up. Bigfoot. This one's another, like, huge one as far as, like, lore goes. And a pig. Oinkers. I am an oinker. And then MS Paint cards. Oh, these are really tiny. Ooh, 4,000. Yeah, I know that one. The way it ends. 3,000. 2001. 39.99. Okay. That's really cool. These are super, super good. And then this picture of Miss Sweetie. This is really nice. I'm just kind of gushing over this showcase because, like, as far as I know, this is pretty new. Anyhow, yeah, let's check out Miss Sweetie's article to start us off. Okay. SCP-2396, object class was Keter, now Euclid. Special containment procedures. Okay, so I'll read all the crossed off first. SCP-2396 is to be contained in Provisional Site 2396. Provisional Site 2396 will only be staffed by employees who identify as a woman in any capacity. Until a method of neutralizing SCP-2396's effect can be found, there will be no attempt to move it from the site. SCP-2396 is to be given a single liter of glucose syrup a day. All male-identified civilians found within a 6-kilometer radius around Provisional Site 2396 are to be detained and screened for contact with SCP-2396-A. Any civilian found to be compromised is to be terminated before becoming an instance of SCP-2396-B. All SCP-2396-B instances encountered in the wild are to be terminated. Due to SCP-2396's current location, all terminated individuals are to be given a standard Lost Hiker cover story. Any civilians who witness an instance of SCP-2396-B are to be administered Class B amnestics. SCP-2396-A instances are to be incinerated immediately. All areas in a 6-kilometer radius around Provisional Site 2396 are to be closely monitored at all times for SCP-2396-A instances by Containment Task Force Lambda-6 or Girly Girls. If an instance of SCP-2396-B is located, CTF-A6 is to be called in to enact termination procedures. As with Provisional Site 2396, CTF-A6 is to be staffed only with task force operatives who identify as a woman in any capacity. All containment efforts are to be oriented toward finding a way to neutralize SCP-2396's area of effect to facilitate containment. And then not crossed out, significantly shorter. SCP-2396 is to be housed in a standard humanoid containment cell in the low-security wing of Site-19. Daily, SCP-2396 is to be given a single liter of liquid sucralose it believes to be sugar. For ease of containment, all staff interacting with it are to identify as women in some capacity. No other precautions are necessary. Description: SCP-2396 is a female humanoid, approximately 2.5 meters tall and weighing 101 kilograms. SCP-2396 is identical to a baseline female human in appearance, with the exception of naturally occurring pink hair and irises. The words Miss Sweetie from Little Misters and by Dr. Wondertainment are tattooed along the outside of SCP-2396's left thigh. When denied sugar or any food item identified as containing sugar, SCP-2396 claims to undergo great pain, necessitating a constant supply of sugar or food items identified as such. The amount of sugar is unimportant in maintaining its anomalous effect. The consumption of sugars in any amount will cause SCP-2396's blood sugar level to reach a constant level of around 400 milligrams per deciliter? Deciliter. Due to its abnormally high blood sugar levels, the object is or was in a constant state of hyperglycemia, stating to suffer from constant headaches and blurred vision. Despite its consumption of food, SCP-2396 does not exhibit any excretory bodily functions or change in weight. While SCP-2396 is fueled with sugar, any male individual who is not currently in SCP-2396-B instance coming within 50 yards of her expresses a strong desire to leave and reorient their position as far from SCP-2396 as possible. Male-identified individuals brought in direct contact with SCP-2396 undergo symptoms similar to a diabetic coma. The object claims that this is to keep nasty brothers and their friends away. SCP-2396-A instances are small objects comprised of simple sugars that resemble assorted colors of hard candy. SCP-2396-A instances appear anywhere within a 6-kilometer radius of SCP-2396's current location, with a greater density appearing in areas known to contain human traffic. Due to their size and the large area of SCP-2396's area of effect, placement and amount of SCP-2396-A is uncertain. The production of SCP-2396-A is known to increase when SCP-2396 undergoes stress. While SCP-2396-A objects are harmless when touched or ingested by female-identified humans, male-identified humans undergo a gradual transformation to an instance of SCP-2396-B. Transformation into an instance of SCP-2396-B is marked by an increase in blood sugar levels, sometimes exceeding 600 milligrams per deciliter. Due to this, many who come into contact with SCP-2396-A are immobilized immediately by the rapid increase in blood sugar. Over a period of up to 12 hours, the individual's flesh, blood, fluids, and bone are, through an unknown process, converted into hard candy, which replicates and molds the body, causing the individual to become an instance of SCP-2396-B. SCP-2396-B instances take the form of large humanoid constructs and, rarely, unicorns. Once an SCP-2396-B entity has been fully converted, it will make way toward SCP-2396 and attempt to breach its containment. SCP-2396-B entities show a strong resistance toward blunt force trauma and exhibit abnormal strength. SCP-2396-B entities will attack any male-identified individuals in their line of sight. SCP-2396-B entities follow any commands given by any female-identified individual, including orders to stand down, and are most easily terminated with fire, whether through incinerator or flamethrower. SCP-2396 ceases production of SCP-2396-A and its effect on male-identified individuals when it has not ingested sugar for longer than 48 hours. At this time, its blood sugar level stays at a constant 10 milligrams per deciliter. Due to the similarity between the effects of hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia as exhibited in SCP-2396, the object is unable to recognize the difference when given a similar amount of artificial sugars. And here we have both an interview and an access document. Interview. This was the 5th interview with the object while in containment. SCP-2396 has been administered sucralose instead of its usual sugar for a week as of that time. For the sake of containment and gaining information, SCP-2396 was made to believe that it was still creating instances of SCP-2396-A and SCP-2396-B. Dr. O'Herlihy. Good morning, SCP-2396. Oh, come on, Cindy. You don't have to be all stuffy with your best gal. Alright, SCP-2396. Are you aware another SCP-2396-B attempted to breach your containment? That's just boys. Always gotta be making a big stink of things when they want to get your attention. Ain't it always like that? Never a man, always a boy. Always beating up their friends when they think they're getting too close. A man's always gotta have his hands busy or else they're gonna be in the air. They seem to be concentrating on taking you away from here. Are you unhappy here, SCP-2396? A woman ain't happy anywhere. Isn't that what they say? I am not aware of any such saying. It should be one. I don't know, Lucy. I think it's just because every gal wants a big, strong lug to sweep her off her feet. And these are sweet boys deep down, even if they're sticky. I'm sure they'd sweep you off your feet too if you girls asked. And then what about the instances that resemble unicorns? Don't you just love unicorns? All little girls love unicorns. You can eat them too when you get bored. Little girls get bored. It's good to have boys and unicorns you can eat when you're finished. Isn't that a little reductive? Look, Toots, I'm a girl's toy, and it's a man's world. What do you want from me? Is that why you repel men? Because you're a girl's toy? Dr. W didn't like it when boys break their sisters' toys. Told me it was damn near the worst thing in the world. And they can't break me. They can't even come near me. Well, stopped it there, you know, all sweet and handsome. And you're happy with the way things are? Dr. W is good in my book. I always had a sweet tooth, and I always wanted to be a girl. Kind of an okay trade-off, if you ask me. You guys ain't so bad, though. Even if the food's shit. Don't know how you mess up sugar, Sarah, but you guys make it taste like shit. Addendum. When prompted, SCP-2396 claimed to have lost any certification that was able to recite the following in full. Wow, you've just found yourself your very own little mister, a limited edition collection from Dr. Wondertainment. Find them all and become Mr. Collector. Yeah, this is a whole little mini-series. Yeah, we got Mr. Chameleon, Mr. Headless, Mr. Laugh, Mr. Forgetful, Mr. Shapey, Mr. Soap, Mr. Hungry, Mr. Brass, Mr. Hot, Miss Sweetie, Mr. Life and Mr. Death, Mr. Fish, Mr. Moon, Mr. Red, discontinued, Mr. Money, Mr. Lost, Mr. Lie, Mr. Mad, Mr. Scary, and Mr. Stripes. Of note is that SCP-2396 verbalized every punctuation mark and spoke SCP-2284's title as a long exhalation of air. Which one is 2284? Oh, Mr. Lie. Okay. We stand a sweet girl. Jay, my love. Hello. And yes, I will give you both your frogos. Come here. Come here right next to your frog wife. Right next to frog wife, like, Good enough. Alright. We stand a sweet lady. Yeah, pretty solid start. Where is it? Random SCP. Okay. Rating of 67. Secondary bunker located near 1210-2. Okay, SCP-1210. Object Class Euclid. A Foundation or Special Containment Procedures. A Foundation laboratory ship, as well as 2 patrol ships, are stationed in the region surrounding SCP-1210 at a range of no less than 10 kilometers. As SCP-1210-2 remains active, expeditions to or experimentation with SCP-1210 for more than 5 hours after a recorded emission event may only be performed with prior permission from at least 2 Level 4 personnel. Infrared and visible light photography by the next overpassing surveillance satellite must be scheduled immediately after a recorded emission event. The area surrounding SCP-1210 is a radius of 15 kilometers, or in a radius of 15 kilometers, is marked as off-limits on all official maps, and radar overwatch is to be maintained using unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs. Civilians attempting to approach SCP-1210 must be detained and questioned. Description: SCP-1210-1 is an uncharted island approximately 31 kilometers off the coast of Redacted, Russia, with an area of 3.4 kilometers squared. Its unusual shape suggests that it may have once been larger, but that the eastern half of the island was sheared off via unknown means, leaving a sharp delineation at which point several buildings and roads as well as utility lines have been cut off. SCP-1210-2 is a World War II-era radar installation located on the main hill of SCP-1210-1, consisting of a large radar array and a control bunker containing its readout equipment. Cyrillic signage indicates that the site is named Redacted, but no official documentation of this site exists in any Russian or Soviet-era records. The site is in an advanced state of disrepair consistent with multiple decades of abandonment, though several rooms are remarkably well preserved due to having been inside sealed bunkers. Forensic examination of the site indicates that site personnel were forced to abandon the area in haste and head towards the eastern end of the island, where the main power plant and living quarters are presumed to have been located. Despite having been disconnected from an active power source for at least 50 years, SCP-1210-2 is still active and periodically generates a low-powered anomalous radar pulse emission that radiates out to a range of approximately 9 kilometers. The period and frequency of these emissions is unstable, but are usually at or about blank millis ms. Period and frequency at about blank milliseconds. I'm gonna guess it's milliseconds, and blank to blank hertz. These emissions are also irregular and have been recorded repeating as often as once every 6 hours and as rarely as once every 7 days. During each emission event, localized shifts in the area surrounding SCP-1210-2 occur that coincide with the propagation of the emission signal. These include, but are not limited to, changes in the topography of the seabed and ocean floor, changes in the local plant and animal life, as well as short-lived changes in the chemistry and organic content of the waters surrounding SCP-1210. Prior to current containment procedures, individuals within the red zone of SCP-1210 during an emission event reported being able to feel a ripple pass through their bodies, resulting in short-term nausea as well as tingling in the extremities that persisted for several days. In rare cases, subjects have also reported short-term memory loss and fatigue, and in 2 cases, personnel were discovered missing and were unable to be located. Incident Log 1210-1. On blank blank blank, an emission event occurred while 2 research personnel were in open water on a small powerboat. Foundation patrol ship SCPS Treska received a panic distress signal that was shortly cut off. Upon investigation, the Treska discovered the shredded hull of the powerboat, with puncture damage consistent with the teeth from a sea megalodon. Additional Foundation assets were being considered to deal with the possibility of extinct or otherwise anomalous wildlife as a result of SCP-1210's emission events. Okay. Oh, thank you, Stellar, for redeeming... Kawaii-koto? Thank you, thank you. Okay, so it's a radar control bunker that warps its local area with temporal anomalies, or like waves of temporal disturbances. I gotcha. Oh boy. We got a J article. SCP-1347 SCP-1353-J. Object Class Loud and Messy. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1347-1353-J is to be constantly told how much of an awful roommate it is. It should be constantly berated about the dead bodies it leaves on the floor and the outrageous and loud parties it holds each night. Until it stops inviting those people that whip themselves over, its access to the fridge is denied. Description: SCP-1347-1353-J is a strain of Yersinia pestis that is described as the worst roommate ever. The entity leaves a constant trail of yellow slime wherever it goes, especially when it sits on the couch. Each morning when SCP-1347-1353-J returns from clubbing at 4 a.m., it usually leaves a dozen dead bodies on the doorstep. The entity, which goes by Yeri, who drops gram negs all over the house during his midnight beatboxing contests, prefers to leave its metabolic waste products spread across the floor. It is currently not known how SCP-1347-1353-J is able to speak, as he lacks any semblance of vocal cords. Though that doesn't stop him from singing "Don't Stop Believing" at 3 in the morning. It is also not known how SCP-1347-1353-J engages in sexual activities of any kind due to a lack of any sexual organs or cavities. Dr. Mike's request for bi-weekly Class C amnestic administrations is currently pending. Yeri engages in consumption and excretion like any regular human male during puberty. Yeri, God, what a stupid name! And he eats everything. I ordered a whole pizza last Friday for us. He ate the whole thing before I could pay the driver. Sorry, the what it leaves on the floor. A stream of what? What the Chuck Tingle is this? SCP-1347-1353-J enjoys hosting long, loud, and destructive parties in our apartment every night. The entity occasionally invites that fucking weird dude with the mask to hang out and smoke that dank shit, leaving that god-awful smell on everything. During their hangouts, Yeri will reminisce about the good old days while producing a number of dead bodies for reanimation. Said bodies oozed into the carpet of the present apartment, effectively ending any chance of the other renter getting his security deposit back. Dang it, Yeri, I was gonna use that money to buy a Nintendo Switch! Roommate Mike is currently requesting financial assistance for fumigation purposes. Reanimated bodies prefer to stand over the location in which the entity's roommate is currently sleeping until he awakes. SCP-1347-1353-J is currently involved in a romantic relationship with blank blank. Blank blank currently displays a number of anomalous effects, including totally ignoring the inconsiderate messes of her partner, a total disregard for Yeri's roommates while they are sleeping, spilling blood all over the couch, moans at the pitch of a clarinet during amorous activities. SCP-1347-1353-J expresses enjoyment over puns having to do with its past, including, what version of the Black Death would hit an alcoholic? The bubonic plague. What did the plague victims say when his skin turned black? I feel like I've died a little inside. Oh my fucking god. Jerry, the cool plague that fucks. Update, December 20th, 2016. On December 20th, 2016, roommate Mike found a large number of Rattus in the shared living spaces with the entity. Yeri, why are there so many rats? Update, December 21st, 2016. On December 21st, 2016, roommate Mike received a note covered in yellow slime stating Yeri's intention to spread himself so that others might enjoy his company. Any attempt to carry through with this action should be met with spraying the entity with streptomycin repeatedly. Yeah, take this! December 22nd, 2016. The entity was noted to be resistant to streptomycin. Fuck! Addendum 1, response. Come on, Mike, if you can't handle a little black death in your life, how do you expect to face the real world? Don't be a pest, Yuri. It's so cursed. Okay, so a little bit of context. So SCP-J articles, they're explicitly written to be funny. They are joke articles. And a lot of times they're actually pretty good. God, I'm remembering Big Egg. Oh my god. God, Big Egg really got me. Anyway. SCP-3065, Object Class Euclid, with a rating of 70, not bad. The Foundation is quarantined, or Special Containment Procedures. The Foundation has quarantined 1.4 kilometers squared of public land around SCP-3065 and is utilizing cover story A91, or wildlife sanctuary. Outpost 3065 has been constructed around the quarantine zone, and its perimeter is to be monitored at all times. All personnel must stay at least, okay, not 50, but 500 meters away from SCP-3065, except for testing purposes. Seismometers have been deployed above SCP-3065 and are to be inspected monthly. All inspections and repairs must be carried out through remote drones. Description: SCP-3065 is an inaccessible cave located below a hiking trail in Paul Lake Provincial Park, British Columbia. 50.751 degrees north, 120.153 degrees west. Approximately 250 meters underground. The structure of SCP-3065 is a humanoid and shifts in real time to match the shape, at a size ratio of approximately 12:1, and posture of its current living occupant. If no living human is in SCP-3065, a person on the surface may vanish and appear inside the cave. Non-human animals are not affected by SCP-3065. On the 21st of May 1997 at 4:02 p.m., Foundation seismographs began recording recording erratic activity from the Paul Lake region. At 5:18 p.m., a Foundation AI flagged the seismogram as potentially anomalous and alerted Dr. Hardy at Site 144. Hardy ordered a low-priority investigation, and a geological field team arrived on location at dusk. SCP-3065 had received periods of minimal activity during this time, one of which lasted nearly an hour. Upon discovering that the seismic activity was highly localized, the field team conducted a seismic reflection survey. This revealed a large void, although the resolution was too low to identify its shape. Because SCP-3065 was dormant at this time, Dr. Hardy authorized the team to drill a 6-centimeter borehole for visual contact. And then we have an exploration and testing log. The following is a partial transcript of the operation conducted on the 21st of May 1997. The field team consisted of researchers Collins and Berry and junior researcher Nguyen, and was overseen by Dr. Hardy from Site 144. Alright, we're in. Retracting the drill now. Ready with the scope? Got it. Approximately 3 minutes pass. Conversation not relevant to operation removed. I'm lowering in the cable, and video should be live soon. Is your connection okay, Doctor? Everything looks fine on this end. Go ahead. A few more seconds, and there we go. Okay. I'm seeing an adult on the cave floor, dead or unconscious. Looks male, maybe 40 or 50 years old. Later identified as Graham Whitman, who was reported as a missing person to the Kamloops RMCP on May 22nd. Confirmed. Looks like a hiker. I'll check out any local disappearances. Nothing else here stands out to me. It looks like normal granite. Shit, the camera just cut out. Harry, can you tell what's... Where did... Harry? Harry? He just, disappeared. Right when the video died. Tell me you're joking. Never, sir. Collins is gone. And the seismo is suddenly going nuts. Jesus. I'm sending him backup. 90 minutes away. Keep me updated. 6 minutes pass. Doctor, are you there? Just got in the truck. What's happening? We pulled up the camera, and there was just cable. Looks like it got cut. Zoe put in the spare, and the borehole is filled in after about 10 meters. Well, shit. I want you two to start drilling again. Harry might have joined our hiker friend, and he'll need air. Understood. Approximately 35 minutes later, Barry and Nguyen finished drilling into SCP-3065, and the scope is reinserted along with a small speaker. The light from Collins' headlamp can be seen as the scope enters the cave. Harry, are you okay? Can you hear me? I'm here. Doing okay, just some bleeding. You fuckers drilled into me. Shit, really? That's terrible luck. We'll throw down some bandages and... No, You drilled in... Look. This cave is weird. It looks like a big hollow person. Arms, legs, dick, everything. It moves when I move. Like it mimics me. I'm sitting in my ass cheek right now. What? When the drill bore through there, I felt something pinch my shoulder. The wound is way smaller than the bit though, barely any blood. The dead guy has the same hole in him. Huh. Okay. The big guns will be here in about an hour. What's the air situation? You breathing okay? It's definitely getting to me. Probably okay for a while with the hole. Alright, let me think for a second. The guys coming will have oxygen, so we were gonna widen the borehole enough to lower it down to you. But I don't want to hurt you more if we can avoid it. It's not life-threatening, Zoe. Just get... The borehole is closed off. Recording ends. Ooh. That's pretty... Wow. Note, for experimental purposes, a small flag was placed on the trail above the estimated center of SCP-3065. Experiment 1, May 23, 1997, Subject D213-729. Subject was told to stand next to the flag and wait for further instructions. After 24 minutes, D213-729 disappeared. Seismic activity indicated his capture by SCP-3065. Experiment 2, same day. Subject D213-755. Immediately after the previous experiment, subject was told to stand next to the flag and wait for further instructions. While SCP-3065 was still seismically active from the previous experiment, nothing notable occurred. 32 minutes after activity ceased, D213-755 disappeared and the tremors resumed. Note: confirmed, it's limited to one victim at a time, Dr. Clark. Experiment 3, same day. Subject D213-902. Subject started approximately 100 meters from SCP-3065 and was instructed to move 1 meter forward every 2 minutes. D213-902 disappeared 12 meters away from the flag. Note: I'm making 50 meters the official safe zone. Experiment 4, the next day. Subject D214-689. Procedure: subject was instructed to climb a tree close to SCP-3065 as high as they are able and wait for further instructions. D214-689 climbed a pine tree 4 meters away from the flag to a height of approximately 8 meters. She disappeared 20 minutes later. Note: apparently you don't need to be touching the ground. Experiment 5, the next day. D214-770. D214-770 was chosen because he is missing his left arm. Subject was told to stand next to the flag and wait for further instructions. A remotely operated drone was ready to inspect SCP-3065. The subject disappeared after 22 minutes and the drone began drilling a borehole. Exploration revealed that SCP-3065's interior was truncated at the left arm, matching D214-770. SCP-3065 contained 6 corpses in normal condition. The borehole closed 42 minutes after drilling was completed. Note: interesting. I assumed that the arm section would be inactive, but it's actually gone. SCP-3065 also doesn't seem to be, well, digesting. Proposal 6. Date to be decided, subject D-Class General. While SCP-3065 is inactive, a remotely operated drill will dig a shaft large enough for the subject to fit through. The subject will be instructed to quickly approach the shaft, and a prepared crane will lower them into SCP-3065. Result not applicable. Note: request for additional D-Class personnel declined. It's just a cave that eats people, David. We have bigger fish to fry. You're being reassigned to SCP blank, Dr. Hardy. Addendum 3065-1. On November 11, 1997, a guard walking approximately 90 meters from SCP-3065 vanished and appeared in the chamber. Seismometers recorded heavy activity during the event. The epicenter moved from SCP-3065's location to directly underneath the guard, then returned to its original location. Minimum safe distance extended to 50 meters. The cave that mimics your shape and eats you. Also, hello, Astralus! Hello, hello. Late hellos. Yes, I have magic bubbles! Magical bubbles. I cast my spells with bubbles. Never climb trees. You need training, grr. For new users. Huh. Yep, the cave that mimics your shape and eats you. Well, it ingests you, it doesn't digest. Consume. Sometimes it's really nice just to read articles about SCPs that are just anomalous, like not theoretically world-ending. And then this is the trail directly above SCP-3065, formerly part of Gibraltar Loop. Cool. Yeah, like sometimes just simple anomalies are good. Next is a test log of SCP-471. How long is the test log? Yeah, we can read it. SCP-471 with a rating of 169. Nice. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Methods of containing SCP-471 are currently being investigated. Primary goal of containment is to block the non-terrestrial transmissions emanating from it, with a secondary goal of acquiring and studying SCP-471 itself. MTF-MU4, the debuggers, is currently tasked with blocking SCP-471's transmissions. Observation probe Delta-2 is currently in an elliptical orbit around Earth that allows it to regularly intersect the signal. Intersect? I think it's supposed to be intercept. The signal emanating from SCP-471. It is responsible for observing and reporting this signal each time it intersects. Oh wait, no, it intersects the orbit, but it intercepts the signal. Okay. It is responsible for observing and reporting the signal each time it intersects. Delta-2 also possesses boosters capable of keeping it within the signal for extended periods of time for the purposes of testing or to monitor a significant deviation in SCP-471's signal. Reject humanity, become cave. Those ones that were cryptids, they're cool because it sounds like a myth, something that people wouldn't believe. Yeah. Description: SCP-471 is an artificial satellite currently in an elliptical orbit around Earth. SCP-471 appears identical to satellite blank-blank. Let me drink. Okay. A weather satellite launched by Redacted in 1970 blank. Though seen on its backside, photographs, though SCP-471 superficially resembles satellite blank-blank, additional equipment of unknown purpose can be seen on its backside. Photographs and manufacturer reports have confirmed that this equipment was not present at the launch of satellite blank-blank. It is unknown whether satellite blank-blank was altered or after launch, or replaced entirely sometime later. SCP-471 has continued transmitting the same weather information satellite blank-blank has been responsible for, which allowed SCP-471 to go undetected for decades. SCP-471 was first discovered by the Space Shuttle Discovery during a routine maintenance mission to Redacted. An anomalous signal was detected being transmitted away from Earth, which was traced back to SCP-471. Once Foundation agents within NASA had identified that the satellite was in fact an SCP object, the Foundation took over the investigation and released a cover story, indicating that NASA had detected a top-secret military research project. Since its discovery, SCP-471 has transmitted constantly, looping every blank minutes. Only one interruption in the signal has been recorded. See test log 471-931. The signal is stronger than any the Foundation or any other Earth agency is capable of producing, and all attempts to block it have met with failure. As well, the signal is clearly directed. It is only detectable within a narrow cone, radius to height ratio equal to 0.0013, originating at SCP-471. The target of the signal appears to be fixed on Jupiter. Oh no. Oh no, I have suspicions. See Addendum 471-01. The contents of the transmission are heavily encrypted and appear to be raw static when observed directly. Were it not for the strength of the signal, NASA would have assumed it was random static generated by the Earth's electromagnetic field. Over time, the signal has evolved, with sections of it changing since its initial discovery. A Foundation supercomputer, Bomb-2, was tasked with cracking the encryption and determining the contents of the signal. After running continuously for blank days, Bomb-2 was able to decrypt a small portion of it, which appeared as a series of binary values. While most of the values' purposes remain unknown, several of them were identified to correspond precisely with discrete values relating to Earth, including the current global population, total number of births and deaths that occurred during one complete orbit of SCP-471 around Earth, the Fibonacci sequence up to 75,025, number of artificial satellites currently in orbit around Earth, final scores of several American baseball games, combined total of nuclear weapons and nuclear power plants on Earth and in satellites, and poll results for the 2000 blank Oklahoma senatorial election. Blank hours after successfully decrypting this portion of the code, Bomb-2 suffered an apparent electronics malfunction. Investigation revealed that Bomb-2 had suffered damage consistent with that of an EMP. However, no other electronics in the area had similar effects. The Foundation created a new computer, Bomb-3, to pick up where Bomb-2 left off. Blank hours after beginning its analysis, however, Bomb-3 suffered identical damage to Bomb-2, despite being hardened against an EMP. Whether this is a result of a direct attack or a consequence of the contents of the signal has not been determined. The method by which SCP-471 gathers data is currently unknown and is under investigation. Currently, 3 probes have been launched towards SCP-471 in the hopes of examining it more closely. See test log 471-931 for details. Addendum 471-01. While attempting to glean the purpose of the integer values identified by Bomb-2, the Foundation discovered a copy of the signal transmitted by SCP-471, much weaker and with an 88-minute delay, being transmitted back at Earth. Investigation revealed that SCP-471 was transmitting its signal in such a way that it was amplified by the magnetosphere of Jupiter and broadcast in all directions. The copied signal evaded detection because it blended in with the background static naturally produced by Jupiter. Further investigation into the possible interaction of the signal with SCP-2399 and other Jovian-based anomalies is ongoing. Okay, so I just need to check. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's like, basically there's a doomsday machine on Jupiter, and it's actually responsible for the red spot. Because the best info an SCP has to give is sports event results. Yeah. Test log For the length of each test, observation probe Delta 2 remained within the transmission cone so as to observe any changes in the signal. Date: January blank 2000 blank. Description: a redacted model probe was launched towards SCP-471. It was to use a passive scanning system in order to more closely examine SCP-471 in the hope of better understanding its purpose and technology present. 19 minutes after activating, however, the probe experienced an electrical malfunction, causing its thrusters to misfire. It subsequently fell into a decaying orbit and was lost upon re-entry. Date: February blank 2000 blank. A second redacted model probe was launched in an identical path to the first and experienced an identical malfunction at approximately the same distance from SCP-471. It is theorized that SCP-471 possesses a defense mechanism to redirect any artificial objects from approaching it, as the probability of the malfunctions being coincidental is effectively 0. April blank 2000 blank. A redacted model probe was launched towards SCP-471. It was equipped with specialized systems in order to make it more difficult to detect and more resilient to any malicious software infiltration attempts. The probe was launched in a path that brought it within 500 kilometers of SCP-471, but not directly towards it, at which point the probe was to turn and head directly towards SCP-471. This appeared initially successful. However, once it came within 300 kilometers of SCP-471, data expunged, resulting in the complete destruction of the probe and corruption of redacted database. Additionally, at the time of the incident, the signal emanating from SCP-471 changed. The encrypted signal ceased, and instead a series of 23 phonemes began repeating. The meaning behind the altered signal is unclear and remains under investigation. The changed signal persisted for 13 minutes before reverting to the usual encrypted signal. Following this incident, by order of 05-blank, no Foundation vessels may attempt contact with SCP-471 until a method is discovered of approaching it without causing data expunged. So it's basically an informant of some, like a mechanical informant of some kind, and is anomalously capable of messing around with electronics. It's pretty mysterious. For a second I saw it was for a second I saw that like it was SCP-3999, in which case, if I remember correctly, I think I know what that one entails. But no, it's SCP-553 at a rating of 155. SCP-553, Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. The primary colony of SCP-553 is to be kept in the cave system where they were discovered in, located in blank. It's either one big blank or two blanks in China. Coordination with the Chinese Ministry of State Security has resulted in the surrounding area being declared a munitions testing range and off-limits to non-military personnel. Foundation agents have further encouraged local folklore which indicates that the cave system is inhabited by demons in order to discourage casual exploration. A Chinese Foundation security force is stationed on site and will monitor the status of the colony. 125 instances of SCP-553 have been transported to Site-37 for observation and experimentation. They are kept in an 8 meter by 17 meter by 5 meter steel-walled room whose interior replicates conditions in their originating cave systems. Native cave flora and fauna are to be maintained in sufficient quantities to provide the appropriate nutritional needs of SCP-553. Multiple IR and night vision cameras have been installed in order to provide full coverage of the interior, as well as numerous passive acoustic sensors. Any personnel entering the chamber must only use the designated path and be wearing full body protection as laid out in document 553-0-942 alpha. Effective, it's either June 1st or January 6th, 2000 blank. A decontamination airlock has been installed, and all rooms and hallways adjoining SCP-553's chamber are to be equipped with high-strength UV lamps, as well as a humidity level of 50% or less. Industrial dehumidifiers are to be on hand in case of containment breach. Description: SCP-553 is a colony of approximately 140,000 winged organisms superficially resembling butterflies. They possess a silicon-based biochemistry and are composed primarily of calcium and silicate compounds. The body of a member of the species is mostly calcite, with some of the internal organs composed of material similar to quartz with piezoelectric properties. Piezo? The silicate impurity adds rigidity to the creature, giving it a rating from 3.5 to 4.5 on the Mohs hardness scale. Although they continue to grow throughout their observed lifespan, the growth rate slows considerably once they have entered their adult stage. The average observed life wingspan of an adult is 2.3 centimeters. The life cycle is notable in that it appears more closely related to crystal growth than standard biological growth. The creature starts out as a crystal seed rather than an egg. Adult instances deposit them on stalactites and they hatch approximately 12 days later. The larval stage appears as anthodites and leach minerals from the stalactite using a weak acid. They move extremely slowly, approximately 5 centimeters per day, and leave distinctive tracks behind them as they progress. These tracks can be used to discriminate between genuine anthodites and SCP-553. The larval stage lasts approximately 70 days, at which point it becomes stationary and begins to grow its wings. Unlike known Lepidopterae, SCP-553 does not possess a pupal stage. During the transition from the larval to the adult stage, the wings of an instance of SCP-553 grow rapidly, becoming fully formed in less than 9 hours, at which point the adult will detach from the stalactite. Through an unknown process, SCP-553 maintains a relatively stable population, with eggs only being laid when an adult dies. The population transplanted to containment has stabilized at 137, give or take 2. Members of SCP-553 primarily rely on a form of echolocation to sense their surroundings. They do this by creating a variety of ultra-high-pitched tones via scraping and striking their legs together, and appear to use their wings as a mobile array to detect reflected sound. Additionally, they appear to have a variety of chemosensors in their foot pads, allowing them to determine the mineral composition of the surfaces they land on. Adult instances of SCP-553 primarily feed by scraping fungus and lichen from the cavern floor and, to a lesser extent, leaching minerals from stalagmites. Adults have never been observed to feed from stalactites. It is hypothesized that this is an adaptation to preserve food stock for the larval stage, using a similar acid as used by the larval stage. When any adult instance of SCP-553 suffers significant damage, it produces a unique sonar signature which alerts all other nearby adults to the presence of danger. Adults will swarm the perceived source of danger and proceed to attack it by attempting to slice it with their wings. Okay. The wings of SCP-553 members have an average thickness of 5 mm where they attach to the body and taper rapidly to an average thickness of 0.05 mm with sharp beveled edges. In testing, individual lacerations as deep as 1 centimeter have been measured. Not 1 meter, that would be wow. However, deeper lacerations usually result in some portion of the wing structure breaking off in the inflicted wound. these fragments typically continue to fracture in the wound due to mechanical stresses. The circulatory fluid of SCP-553 reacts with most carbon-based tissues in a necrotizing fashion, resulting in significant post-traumatic infections. Incident 553-04 Gamma. On May 21st, 2000 blank, 21 instances of SCP-553 escaped their containment chamber due to an improperly sealed access door. They reacted to recapture attempts as an attack and retaliated. SCP-553 displayed a high degree of pattern recognition and target analysis and quickly focused their attacks on the exposed fleshy parts of the containment personnel, particularly the throat and face. The 9 immediate fatalities received, on average, 10 wounds greater than 1 centimeter. It's currently hypothesized that these were caused by multiple slashes on the same wound site. The secondary necrotic infections caused by SCP-553 wounds resulted in a further 8 deaths. 12 instances were successfully recaptured and returned to containment, and the remaining dead instances were retained for autopsy, structural analysis, and chemical analysis of their circulatory fluid. Okay, so I actually knew about this one. I didn't memorize the number, but, like, yeah, if I remember correctly, one of the SCP fan games actually features this SCP, where, like, you wander into a chamber, into this, like, cavern network, and then there are these tiny floating butterfly-like things, and they swarm you and cut you to ribbons. Yeah, so I actually knew about this one. Where does this lead? I assume this leads to a tail. Looks like it. Yeah, it's a tail. One of these days, maybe I should read some tales. Like, tales are basically just, like, fanfiction surrounding particular SCPs. Anyhow, let me get a drink, because my mouth is kind of dry. Thank you, Straloos, for the hydrate. I just did it. And thank you, Wifey, for stretch. I'll probably only read a few more, mainly just because, you know, I started stream late. Anyway, with a rating of 116, not bad. SCP-3207. Here we have a depiction of SCP-3207 from the unpublicized writings of Leonardo da Vinci. It looks like one of... like, it looks similar to one of his, like, theoretical flying machines. So it's either one of those, or it's similar to it, or it's a flying saucer. And, like, yeah. So, SCP-3207, Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3207 is currently kept in an 8 meter by 8 meter by 6 meter containment chamber located at Site 10. SCP-3207 is not to be activated except under strict testing conditions. Any potential movement on the part of SCP-3207 when unpowered is to be prevented via steel restraints binding its wheels and base. Although SCP-3207 has not yet demonstrated the capability to move when deactivated, these additional precautions were recommended by Containment Specialist Lawrence upon initial containment of SCP-3207 and have been approved by Site Director Willem. Maintenance of the organic and non-anomalous portions of SCP-3207 are to be performed twice a month by an on-site team of engineers and medical doctors briefed on the details of SCP-3207's construction. All testing of SCP-3207 is to take place at AWTR-41, Anomalous Weapons Testing Range, located a short distance from Site-10, and must be approved by at least one member of Level 3 personnel. For information on the initial disinformation campaign involving SCP-3207, see Addendum 3207-1. Description: SCP-3207 is a mobile war machine, 5 meters in diameter, believed to have been created in 1488 through a collaboration between inventor Leonardo da Vinci and an obscure artisan in the employ of the Duke of Milan named Marco Sol, who also happens to be an SCP. It is constructed from a mixture of technology available at the time and anomalously advanced technology, the origins of which have yet to be determined. Investigation suggests that although SCP-3207 was completed, it was not deployed due to a falling out between its two creators. In terms of construction, SCP-3207 consists of a conical shell composed of wood and reinforced with metal plates covering a main body. A number of cannons are placed around the rotatable perimeter of the machine, allowing it to fire in any direction. Perceptive devices are also present around SCP-3207's perimeter, allowing its control unit to inspect the area and hear sounds around itself. Apart from these, most of SCP-3207's anomalous features are present on the interior of the machine, or when it is activated, and are thus not immediately obvious from outside observation. When active, SCP-3207's cannons are capable of firing blasts of an unknown form of energy, red in coloration, and capable of vaporizing organic matter on contact. These blasts have also proven capable of heavily damaging stone fortifications, often blasting them apart with ease. However, most metal structures seem to present a great deal of resistance to it. I think that is straight up a Da Vinci sketch. New season of Ancient Aliens. Oh no. At the core of SCP-3207's interior is a metal power unit of unknown origin. A switch on the side of the power unit activates and deactivates it. Although it has not been detected emitting significant amounts of radiation, individuals in the vicinity report feelings of nausea and sickness when near SCP-3207, which grow more severe until they are removed from its presence. It is theorized that while some sort of environmental contamination is caused by SCP-3207's power unit, it does not come in a form that Foundation technology can currently detect. A repelling field invisible to the naked eye, which protects SCP-3207 from attack and adverse effects from high temperatures, is also deployed when SCP-3207 is active. Repeated impacts on a single section of SCP-3207 will temporarily deactivate the repelling field for up to 30 seconds. SCP-3207's control mechanism consists of a human brain and nervous system stripped from an unknown donor and hooked into the machine's mechanisms, the brain thus directing them through a method that is not yet understood. Testing with the control mechanism indicates that its only means of perceiving the outside world are through the perceptive devices on its exterior. The control mechanism is soaked in a wax-like substance that acts as a life support system and slows cellular degeneration, also shielding it somewhat from the negative effects of SCP-3207's active power unit. analysis of the control mechanism's current state and its projected rate of aging suggests that it will continue to be operable for at least 200 years further. Analysis of SCP-3207 has revealed that while its control mechanism is conscious, this is only the case while the power unit is active. While it is deactivated, the brain goes into a dormant state, and SCP-3207 does not respond to stimuli. And here we have an interview log from Dr. Blank. Interview was conducted at AWTR 41. Subject was told to move itself to the left side of the chamber to indicate a positive response and to the right for a negative one. Interviewer was behind a protected barrier at all times. Original interview was conducted in Italian. Hello, SCP-3207. To begin, can you see me? Subject moves to the left. Excellent. I assume you can hear me also. Subject remains on the left side of the room. Can you perceive me with any other senses? Subject moves to the right. May I ask, are you aware of your current state of being, that you are no longer inhabiting a human body? Subject moves to the left. Was this process something you volunteered for? Moves to the right. You were coerced into this? Moves to the left. Physically? Moves to the right. You were blackmailed. Remains on the right side of the room. Were you financially coerced? Moves to the left. I see. Money then. For you? Moves to the right. For your family? Moves to the left. I see. Did you know the name of the man who coerced you? Remains on the left. Was his name Leonardo da Vinci? Moves to the right. Was his name Marco Sol? Moves to the left. Was a man named Leonardo da Vinci involved with the process? Remains on the left. Thank you. You've been very helpful. However, I have to tell you that we're currently unable to remove you from this machine without killing you. Would you be willing to remain in this state for the time being? Moves to the right side of the room at extreme speeds, crashing into the wall. Well, continues crashing into the right wall. End interview. Eek. Addendum 3207-1. Discovery and Initial Disinformation Campaign. SCP-3207 was first located after a collection of Da Vinci's unreleased writings concerning speculative anomalous designs, along with several confidential letters, see Addendum 3207-2, came into Foundation custody along with several other items after a successful raid against a Marshall Carter and Dark auction house. Foundation historians analyzed the writings and follow directions contained within to locate an underground workshop on the outskirts of Milan. For reference, Marshall Carter and Dark is like a separate group of interest that basically auctions off anomalous objects and stuff to like super wealthy, like, you know, rich bidders. So yeah. Although the door to the workshop's unique locking mechanism had been tampered with, making entry extremely difficult, a Foundation search team were able to make their way in with digging equipment. Investigation of the workshop revealed an inactive SCP-3207, which was then also brought into Foundation custody. As a preventative measure against possible information regarding SCP-3207 being present in as of yet undiscovered Da Vinci writings, a disinformation campaign was decided upon. The initial disinformation campaign consisted of inserting altered designs for SCP-3207 into Da Vinci's publicly available writings, presenting it as a much more simple and less advanced machine, more consistent with its time of construction. However, errors by staff assigned to this task resulted in the present design having severe flaws which made it unworkable, flaws which would have been easily recognized by an engineer of Da Vinci's skill level. These staff were later demoted or reassigned away from disinformation duties. Thus, additional disinformation was necessary in order to suggest that these flaws were intentional on Da Vinci's part as an effort to protect his work. Addendum 3207-2, recovered documentation. The following is a letter to Da Vinci from his collaborator Saul, concerning Da Vinci withholding and refusing to deploy SCP-3207 publicly. The text has been updated somewhat for ease of reading, but direct scans of the original letter are available in Site 10's historical archives. From the esteemed engineer and artist Marco Saul to his disloyal former collaborator Leonardo da Vinci. I must confess my continued disappointment that you refuse to respond to my letters. Or, I must confess my continued disappointment. When we as two men of knowledge embarked on this voyage, did we not agree to stay in touch, and did not we agree to pool our wisdom together? Yet you are silent. Our work, which I have informed you I am aware you have concluded your development of, lies unused and useless within our workshop, which I am sure you recall you have sealed from my use. Please recall that, as a close and valued friend of His Excellency Duke Sforza, it is unwise to antagonize me to the degree that clearly you are intent upon. While your standing with His Excellency is currently without reproach, I must feel the need to remind you that what is the case today is certainly not assured to be tomorrow. Please keep this in mind as you continue not to acknowledge my communications. I do admit some measure of amusement. Having read the pleading letter you originally sent to His Excellency Duke Sforza of Milan, with whom I dine weekly, records from the time indicate that Saul is likely overstating his relationship with Duke Sforza at this point. At your declaration that you will make an infinite number of items for attack and defense, clearly this is not the case, or else you would not have abandoned our grand work. In this case, were you perhaps attempting to deceive His Excellency in the hopes of profitable employment? You are truly a lamentable man if that is true. Your motivation in this matter is just as comprehensible as your actions, which is to say, not at all. In what way is it preferable for a man to be slain with a sword than with our grand creation? Does the presence of a human carcass somehow make the method of killing more legitimate? When I saw the works you had painted in your workshop when we met last year, I felt surely that you at least would be most receptive to what I had to offer. But again, you clearly lack my perspective. What is war but another canvas to paint upon? I can assure you that a man's final breaths are just as pure in expression as a babe's first smile. I had hoped to share with you further miracles of my discovery, but you have proven time and time again that you do not have the necessary constitution. Although Saul does not explicitly state where he obtained the materials for SCP-3207's construction in this letter, historical records from the year SCP-3207 was built mention a falling star near the city of Milan. I now sincerely hope that, by the time your residence in Milan has ended, we do not cross paths again, and I would highly recommend you share this desire. Although you may not have the stomach for true expression, I do, and this clumsy attempt of yours to sabotage me will by no means halt my work. I assure you of that. Do 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 do. Okay. So, a collaborative Da Vinci flying saucer. Actually, wait. Binding its wheels and base. Oh, it doesn't fly. Okay, it's a saucer nonetheless. Next up. Whoa. Oh, this is one from... This is one that is from the newest generation. Oh, it's a rating of 72. It's not Not too shabby. SCP-6462 Containment Class Keter, Disruption Class Amida, and Risk Class Critical. So, all red. It's all in red. It's very, very bad. This is a picture of SCP-6462-B-1-0. Whoa. I'm not used to all this fancy web design stuff. I'm used to the old format. Okay. So, SCP-6462, Containment Class Keter, Special Containment Procedures. SCP-6462 is to be monitored for any sign of dimensional intrusion. In the event of unauthorized entry into SCP-6462, Stationary Task Force Aleph-5, or Bridezillas, is to immediately terminate all trespassing entities. In the event that an authorized entry into SCP-6462 results in personnel being deposited in any area outside of SCP-6462-B-1, an STF Aleph-5 team is to be dispatched to retrieve them. Personnel stationed within SCP-6462 are to undergo weekly psychiatric evaluations. Personnel that begin displaying erratic behavior, an obsession with the number 7, and/or acute claustrophobia are to be amnesticized and removed from their position. Additionally, SCP-6462 personnel are to undergo regular anaerobic exercises and a high-protein diet to prevent muscular atrophy. It just says muscle, but eh. To prevent transmission of SCP-6462-A, Type 21 Bulwark energy disruptors have been arranged in a 7-meter radius around SCP-6462-C. They are to be safely deactivated and replaced every 23.4 hours to be disassembled and cleaned of any accumulated blood, amniotic fluid, and/or assorted viscera. 310 liters of water are to be placed within 5.4 meters of SCP-6462-C every 6.1 hours. SCP-6462-C's chains are to be visually examined every 12 hours for damage. If SCP-6462-C's chains are rendered unable to keep SCP-6462-C closed, or SCP-6462-C-1 is verifiably observed to physically exit SCP-6462-C through any other means, an on-site Surtur-class blank warhead is to be remotely detonated. Ooh. Description: SCP-6462 is a pocket reality located within Relic Universe 7V Omega, which was previously believed to have been rendered unable to sustain reality during the Third Crimson Crusade, one of the first recorded cross-universe wars, taking part between the supplicants of the Ceres Sar and the Dominion of Eyes. SCP-6462's position within Relic Universe 7V Omega appears to have hidden its existence from the multiverse at large, as all available multiverse maps display S7V Omega as an empty dead zone. The only way to independently learn of SCP-6462's existence is to isolate SCP-6462-A, trace it to its point of origin, then utilize a Scranton Meyerbeer arc to travel to that origin point. Addendum. God, there's so much. I might finish off with this article. In that case, SCP-6462-A is an anomalous form of Leinster-Wells radiation that was discovered through the Trifrost Initiative. Radiation that naturally occurs in the space between universes, but can be replicated within real space using highly specialized equipment. In the Trifrost Initiative, ongoing Foundation program to develop a non-anomalous method of cross-universe transportation. SCP-6462-A's anomalous properties were brought to light by the standard exposure tests that were performed during following its discovery. Exposure test log. Subjects were each exposed to a concentrated SCP-6462-A emission, then closely monitored for physical or psychological changes. Tests 1 through 45 removed for brevity. Test 46. Subject 3 live chickens. Autopsies revealed that the stomach lining of 2 subjects became lined with teeth-like growths. The third subject's stomach appeared unaltered, but further examination revealed that it was entirely composed of human ovarian tissue. The subject's stomach tissue was discovered to be genetically identical to ovarian tissue samples taken from SCP-231-5. At this point, SCP-6462-A was given a provisional SCP designation and authority over SCP-6462-A. Testing was transferred from Trifrost Initiative head researcher Dr. Vivian Spaulding to Robert Montauk. Montauk, that's a familiar name. Tests 47 to 56 removed for brevity. Test 57. Subject 15 D-Class. Subject reported regularly experiencing strange and upsetting dreams over the course of the months following their exposure to SCP-6462-A. A majority of reports display imagery and themes commonly found in the religious texts of the Children of the Scarlet King. Oh, that explains a lot. That explains, like, the imagery. Test 57 Dream Reports Sample. Date June 15th, 2034. Subject D6751. I was in this cave, but it was also a river. Like, it used to be a river, or it was going to be. Don't remember. It was completely dark. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I had a rope tied around my waist and I was holding on to it, because I knew it led back to the surface. I was barefoot, I think. It was all quiet, just dripping water. Sometimes I heard someone else breathing, all hot on the back of my neck. Felt I was getting bitten with that breath. Whenever that happened, I'd freak out and start running, but I'd forget about the rope and take a wrong turn and I'd have to turn back. Eventually I found the surface, but then I looked down and realized it hadn't been rope I was holding onto the whole time. It was my fucking intestines, with one end coming out of a nasty hole in my stomach and the other end tied to a tree at the mouth of the cave. Really wigged me out, I'll tell you. Woke up half the cell block with my screaming. But you probably already knew about that part, right? D2183 on July 10th, 2034. I was going to a party with my sisters. I had sisters in the dream, but we were all really sad about it. We never got to the party, though. It was like we were always on the verge of arriving. Interviewer: can you provide more detail regarding the sisters you were dreaming about? Did they have any notable physical features or clothing? Any memorable personality traits? I don't know. I never remember much about my dreams. I think all 7 of us were wearing these long gowns and heavy metal bracelets on both wrists. Oh yeah, I had 6 or 7 sisters in the dream. Is that enough detail? Subject D4644, June 15th, 2034. I was in some kind of ceremony, a ritual, like something from a bad horror movie. Chanting, guys in robes, the whole 9 yards. There was a girl in a white gown, chained to a stone slab. Couldn't have been more than 15, not much older than my daughter. I expected her to look terrified, but she was sort of resigned, tired almost. They gave me a dagger to cut her open, but before they could make me, I woke up because some asshole thought it would be funny to start yelling shit at 3 a.m. I guess I'm grateful for that. But they... Please continue. They wouldn't have needed to make me do it. I wanted to do it. To cut her open. I still do. Fuck. I still do. And she looked so much like my little girl. D4644 rubs his face with his hands. I think something's really wrong with me, Doctor. Class C amnestics were administered to D4644 shortly after the interview's conclusion. D7061, July 2nd, 2031. Read. When requested to clarify their statement, D7061 attempted to comply but was unable to describe their dream in any other word. Read. And it's a link to SCP-6996. D3082, date July 9th, 2034. I don't remember my dad's face. Did you know that? He died in a car crash when I was 9. He taught me how to read, how to ride a bike, and I don't remember his face. Can you imagine? I don't understand. Are you saying your dream was of childhood memories? Did you see your father's face in your dream? He came into my room last night through the red of the howling moon's eye, but his face was wrong. He wasn't wearing it right. D3082 begins bleeding from her left nostril. Oh, here he comes now. D3082 became unresponsive to questioning. It quickly became apparent that she was suffering from a severe heart attack, likely caused by preeclampsia-induced high blood pressure. Subject is currently in recovery. D6462 does not experience a day-night cycle. It appears to possess a celestial body analogous to the sun, SCP-6462 Sol, which perpetually produces 2,000 to 5,000 lux. Direct sunlight produces 32,000 to 100,000 lux. SCP-6462 lacks any form of native non-bacterial organic life. Muscle mass atrophies at an increased rate within SCP-6462, though not at a pace that cannot be counteracted by exercise and a high-protein diet. With the exception of SCP-6462-B, its landscape is predominantly flat and featureless, dotted with stone outcroppings. The surface area of SCP-6462 is currently unknown. SCP-6462-B is an approximately 2,500 kilometers squared city situated within SCP-6462. The structures within SCP-6462-B bear strong stylistic similarities to pre-Renaissance Daevite architecture, though no physical evidence of human habitation within SCP-6462-B has been found. With the exception of SCP-6462-B-1... What? Ah, that startled me! Nyreen! And Night Rio, thank you for the raids! Welcome, welcome, raiders! I'm reading SCPs. I'm on a particularly spoopy one. Hello, hello! Thank you for the raid, thank you. Number 1, Potuberth. Hello, hello! For anyone new here, I am Issy. I am a magical froggy girl. I'm a variety streamer. Woo! I stream. Typically on Mondays, and usually I've been streaming on Thursdays, but lately that... I'll cover that, like as soon as I'm wrapping up stream. But yeah, welcome, welcome! Hello, hello. Thank you so much for the double raid. Much appreciated. Alright, where was I? God, I think that's the first time, like, a raid actually, like, startled me. Let's see. Human adaptation. Okay. With the exception of SCP-6462-B-1, all structures within SCP-6462-B are hollow and deceptively fragile. Nearly all instances of text within SCP-6462-B have eroded to the point of illegibility. SCP-6462-B is inhabited by an unknown quantity of SCP-6462-B-NT instances. An SCP-6462-B-NT instance is a humanoid entity composed of dense tenebrous matter. Tenebrous? Colloquially known as three-dimensional shadows. SCP-6462-B-NT instances temporarily cease existing while directly perceived. All sightings of SCP-6462-B-NT instances have been in the periphery of the viewer's vision or heard in such a way that the listener was uncertain of the sound's source. Literally just shadow people. Any camera within a 52-meter radius of an SCP-6462-B-NT instance may begin displaying one or more SCP-6462-B-NT instances that are not there. Up to 44% of all recorded images of SCP-6462-B-NT instances are potentially false. And these are potentials. Oh, there's more. Okay, so there's one up there. One in the corner. It's just these three. SCP-6462-B-NT instances are aggressive and violent, but not directly confrontational, usually choosing targets that are alone, or, if no such prey is available, attacking through ambushes. SCP-6462-B-NT instances are either unable or unwilling to harm or impede Foundation personnel within SCP-6462-B-1. As such, SCP-6462-B-1's Central Hall, designated SCP-6462-B-1-0, has been made the location of the central base camp within SCP-6462. And then Addendum is Supplementary Exploration Log. Oh yeah, I forgot to ask. Nyreen! Rio, how are your streams? I assume you both collabed in something. How's that? Hope you had a good stream. Before the discovery of SCP-6462-B-1's pacifying effect on SCP-6462-B-NT instances, Mobile Task Force Aleph-7, or Crownbreakers, attempted to create a safe zone where Foundation researchers could work with relative safety. During these proceedings, MTF Aleph-7 member Gabriel Dubois was separated from his team in an altercation that destroyed his portable radio and damaged the broadcaster on his body cam. 45 minutes later, his body cam continued broadcasting. This is a video log transcript. Dubois's body cam is pointed at the floor, presumably because he is in the midst of repairing it. Come on, you piece of... Yes! Dubois sets his body cam back into place. It faces a closed door which has been barricaded with multiple pieces of furniture. Okay, I can't hear you, but you can hear me. I was separated from my team and got chased into a building a couple blocks down. Not certain where. I wasn't able to keep my sense of direction. I think I'm in some kind of hospital. 3rd floor. I barricaded the door. It's managed to hold so far. No idea how, this furniture is brittle as hell. A chair leg broke off in my hand. I only did it because I thought it would slow them down as they climbed out the window. No such luck. The room doesn't have a window. I think those shadow things are just waiting outside the door. I can hear them whispering. Dubois nears the barricaded door. Indistinct voices can be heard. It is unclear how many sources are present. I think they're telling me to open the door. Over and over again, just open the door. Why don't they do it themselves? I've seen one pull a man's arms off like a kid with a Barbie. You're thinking of the wrong door. Dubois yells and turns. Broadcast ends. Final image broadcasted. So that's the barricaded door, I think. Can't really make out much. Gabriel Dubois' body has not yet been recovered. SCP-6462-B-1 is a palace in the approximate center of SCP-6462-B. It appears to host multiple spatial anomalies, as moving through a doorway in SCP-6462-B-1 transports the subject into a random room within SCP-6462-B-1. The seventh doorway one travels through will always return the subject to SCP-6462-B-1-0. The only thresholds not subject to this anomaly are the doorways at both ends of SCP-6462-B-1-0, the building's single entrance and exit, and the door to SCP-6462-B-1-1. There's so many SCP-6462-B-B-B. Okay, Addendum 6462-B-1 Rooms. Currently, 306 distinct rooms have been discovered within SCP-6462-B-1. Rooms of particular significance have been cataloged below. For a full listing of SCP-6462-B-1's rooms, see the SCP-6462 exploration records stored in Archival Site B. I'm just gonna put it as B-1-X. Yeah. Alright, so B-1-0, Central Hall, possesses 10 thresholds in total, 1 on each end and 4 on both sides. The second threshold on the south wall has collapsed, making passage impossible. B-1-1, Throne Room, contains SCP-6462-C. B-1-19, Conservatory, contains several forms of dead plant matter, including gold leaves of similar hue and shape to that of the Ethune cultivar of Malus domestica. B-1-54, Armory. Due to the extreme danger that SCP-6462-C-1 poses to reality as a whole, 45% of the objects discovered in SCP-6462-B-1-54 have been utilized to construct the on-site Surtur-class blank warhead. 47% of the room's contents have been transferred to Hazardous Materials Storage Site J, pending examination and classification. The remaining 8% have not been moved, as attempting to do so has been deemed too dangerous. B-1-90, Library. All texts in this room have been rendered unsalvageable due to a mixture of erosion and burn marks. Edit. 4 legible texts have been uncovered. The first partially resembles existing descriptions of SCP-6019. The remaining 3 texts are currently being translated. B-1-113. The Bloodletting Room. Ugh. Upon entering this room, all adjacent thresholds automatically seal themselves and can only be reopened by filling the stone bowl in the center of the room with 2 liters of intravenous blood. B-1-141, empty chamber. The floor of this room is covered by an unknown tar-like substance. Loud knocking can be heard through its northeast wall. And it links to SCP-4221. B-1-238, birthing room. Cognito hazard expunged. Thank you. B-1-253, ocean chamber. This room contains a body of water of unknown size that vastly exceeds the surface area of SCP-6462-B. Cursory explorations of this room have uncovered the fossilized remains of an unknown mammalian species that bears extreme resemblance to the species Physeter macrocephalus. And then this is a picture of that chamber. SCP-6462-C is a stone casket that is approximately 3 meters wide, 5 meters long, and 2 meters deep. It is suspended in the air above a stone throne in the center of SCP-6462-B-1-1, wrapped in 7 chains composed of an unknown silver metal. Each chain is attached to a metal loop that has been embedded in either the north or south wall. 4 chains are connected to the north wall and 3 are connected to the south wall. A 4th loop has been observed in the south wall, adjacent to the other 3 loops, but no evidence of an 8th chain has yet been found. SCP-6462-C has an exsicating effect on all forms of liquid and organic matter within a 5.4 meter to 2.2 kilometer radius. The rate of exsication and size of its range of effect is inversely proportional to the amount of liquid removed by SCP-6462-C within a recent time span. What does exsication mean? Quickly. Exsicate. To dry or remove the moisture from as a substance. Okay. Oops. Entrance into SCP-6462-B-1 was not initially possible until 3 members of MTF-Aleph-7 accidentally entered SCP-6462-C's range of effect, subsequently losing all moisture in their bodies within 2.9 seconds. Back with hot chocolate? Who wants it? Be careful, it's hot. Are there marshmallows? There's a symbol crudely etched into the lid of SCP-6462-C, partially obscured by its chains. It appears to be the Davite glyph Ner, which can be translated to mean lack, thirst, hunger, longing, or emptiness. And this leads to a tale called Dust and Blood. SCP-6462-C-1 is believed to be contained within SCP-6462-C. It is not to be interacted with under any circumstances. Addendum, interview proposal, and these are all interviews. Interview proposal. To the O5 Council from O511. Subject, interview proposal, or propsol. I propose we lift the ban on communication with SCP-6462-C-1. Yes, there is certainly a risk to communicating with her, even while contained. In fact, I won't insult you by mincing words. The risk is tremendous. One needs to only look to the list of SCPs confirmed to be children of the 7 brides to understand the danger she poses. Just one of their kids is likely to destroy the world in a few years. SCP-2317. In other words, this is no run-of-the-mill apocalypse god. This is a being that creates harbingers of doomsday in droves. The amount of death that this thing has caused is truly unfathomable. Be as it may, the information we could gain regarding the Scarlet King from her could be invaluable. Keep in mind the threat this entity continues to pose to all of reality. I'm sure you've all seen the latest reports on what he's done to the latest batch of universes to open the way to his armies. This is a unique opportunity to make a step towards ending his reign. We can't afford to be overly squeamish about our own safety. Even if the worst comes to pass and she breaks her chains, remember this. This world will die in the dark, so that all worlds may live in the light. Council vote summary. That's 6 saying yay, 5 saying nay, and 2 abstaining. So the status is approved. Interview 1 from Dr. Andy Madras. Begin log. Hello, my name is Anvi Madras. Can you understand me? SCP-6462-C-1 attempts to speak multiple times, wheezing and coughing quietly with each attempt. Yes. Apologies, it has been some time since I last had reason to speak. I am called Anut. Would you be willing to answer some questions for me, Anut? Questions. You have questions here. Are you by any chance a scholar? Of a sort. I'm a researcher. Wonderful. It has been so long since I've spoken to one of like mind. Ask your questions, scholar, and I will answer to the best of my knowledge. Though I must warn you that my mind has grown sluggish with its lack of proper use. It shall take some time before the webbing has cleared from my thoughts. We'll start with something easy then. Do you know where you are right now? I believe I was entombed in the throne room of my firstborn son. A little joke by my husband, I think. He always was so abominably loyal, despite my greatest efforts. The idiot likely got himself killed in my name when I was sealed away. Who is your husband? Why do you ask questions you already know the answers to? Do not ask me of Ka-Rak, not yet. Just thinking of him makes my scars ache. Very well. Can you tell me more about this place? This was the first nursery world I ever built. What is a nursery world? I have many children. They needed a place to learn and grow. I apologize if they've given you any trouble on your way in. Their will is not their own. Those shadows are your children? In a certain sense, yes. When I first guided them along the hidden paths of magic, my husband grew paranoid. He broke their bodies upon the rocks of the shore, and when that was done, to ensure that they could never heal correctly, he stole their shadows. It is fitting that he would choose shadows to be my jailers. This entire world has become a pale reflection of itself, a figment. I wonder what it looks like now. It was still so alive when he sealed me away. If it was alive before you were sealed, how do you know it is dead? My cage may have left me sightless, but I am not entirely without sense. When this place was alive, the wind would skim along the curves and ridges of the spawning fields and make such beautiful music. It was as though the sky was singing. Now there is only the silence of a mausoleum, of a world scoured. There is naught but dust. Not even blood remains. I have grown weary. Speech after an age of silence is more tiresome than I expected. We will continue this later. Interview 2, Dr. Anvi Madras, begin log. How are you feeling today? Much better, thank you. Would you be amenable to answering more questions? I would be entirely amenable, though I have a feeling you have a singular question in mind today. You wish to learn more of my husband, yes? I believe I am prepared to speak on the subject. Yes. Can you describe the true nature of the entity known as the Scarlet King? Subject is silent for 41 seconds. Karok is... He is fundamentally a frightened, angry child, born into a world that brings him unending pain. He lashes out. Rather than adapt to his surroundings or change them to his liking, he seeks to tear it all down. Like a child, he is blind to the contradiction of his desires. He wishes to destroy all things to experience the peace of non-being, yet is terrified of death. He is immortal, you know, in every way. He has taught himself the syllables of royalty, partaken from fountains and orchards of eternal life, erased his name from the tablets of death, melted down the wings of archangels into gold nails and pounded them into his flesh. He's just delaying the inevitable, of course. Everything ends. I liken his schemes to that of a child's favorite doll, clutched close in the belief that it will keep the nightmares away. This is what Karok is. That is illuminating, but not what I meant. I'd like to know more about what the Scarlet King is, not who. What do you think the Shormash Urdal is? You're avoiding the question. Humor me, scholar. When speaking in abstraction, it is useful to have a starting point that the other will understand. The leading theory is that the Scarlet King is the embodiment of the struggle between the modern and the pre-modern. That links to the Tuftos proposal. The howl of the old straining against the new. I would assume that your theory speaks of your people's role in this, your gray modernity choking the world until it bleeds scarlet. Yes. That's a rather self-centered way of seeing things, wouldn't you say? The Shormash Urdal is a fire that sweeps across every reality, every world. He does not limit his gaze to your species alone. Why would you claim sole credit for his apotheosis? So we're wrong then? Oh no. Your theory is entirely on the mark, in fact. You merely have it inside out. Pardon? And this happens to link to SCP-4547. You consider this war of the ancient and contemporary to be a grand flame that casts the shadow that is Karok onto the walls of the cave. And yet, are you absolutely certain of which is which? Are you certain that it is not Karok that is the fire and the war that is the shadow? Are you telling me that the concepts of modernity and pre-modernity are extensions of the Scarlet King? I merely give you a thought exercise. Whatever conclusions you take from it are your own. Leave me now. My scars ache once more, and this old woman needs her rest. Interview 3. Once again with Anvi Madras, begin log. I'd like to ask you about the Scarlet King's immortality. Can you list the methods he's used to obtain it? Straight to the point, aren't we? Good. As I said before, his immortality is a fool's errand, a delaying tactic, nothing more. To make oneself truly deathless is an impossible task. Even so, I'd like to know how the Scarlet King has attempted it. That reminds me of a story my mother once told me, a tale of a girl who attempted a likewise impossible task. I have taken my meds, don't worry. Would you like to hear it? Yes. Once, a very long time ago, there was a girl made of glass who lived in a little house by the river. The girl was a fragile thing. A hard wind could cut her skin, a simple flick could shatter bone, a harsh word could leave bruises that ached for weeks. Often bedridden by injury or illness, the girl found herself with all the time in the world to read, and read she did. The girl read anything she could get her hands on. No matter the subject, she would descend upon the pages like a wolf on a sun-baked carcass, ravenously devouring every morsel of knowledge until there was naught but bones. She was insatiable. She read and read and read, and when she had finished reading, she went back and read some more. Soon the girl had mastered nearly every subject, every field of study. She could calculate the mathematics of the stars in her head. She mapped the hidden paths of magic on the insides of dust covers. She knew the name of every animal and all the secret words of creation. Yet, for all her learning, one thing continued to lay beyond her reach: the great ash tree on the other side of the river. She knew only two things of the tree. Firstly, it was a thing of some renown. Rumor said that its roots stretched far beyond its gated garden to every continent and kingdom, from the fragrant shores of the city of hedonist dreams, SCP-6262, to the circuitous trails of the Name-Eater's Grove. That's SCP-4000. To even the blank vistas of the angled colonies, SCP-5005. People would travel for miles just to sit beneath its wide branches. The second thing she knew was that her father hated the tree with a passion. It represented everything that he was not, everything that he stood against, and he despised the tree for that. In the rare moments that he slept, he dreamed only of fire engulfing the tree, of tearing each root from the earth until only its memory remained. Each morning, the girl's father set out to make his dream a reality, and each morning he failed. The currents of the river were too strong, threatening to topple the most sturdy of boats. Beyond the river was a set of iron gates that were veined with thorns and poison ivy to prevent trespassers from scaling them. Beyond the gates was a beautiful garden that dazzled and befuddled the mind with its beauty, which was tended to by dozens of devoted gardeners and caregivers, each being willing to give their lives in defense of their home. The girl's father was a man of incredible strength and skill, but not even he could pass these trials. One day, when her father was tending to other business and her sisters were playing in the field beyond her home, the girl set to traveling to the ash tree herself. Blinded by the overconfidence of youth, she believed that these impossible hurdles could be surpassed with the correct applying of knowledge. Surely her comprehension of boat building and seafaring was enough to ford the river. Surely her familiarity with plant life was enough to circumvent the thorns and ivy of the gate. Surely she was intelligent enough to not be dazzled by the garden, and articulate enough to convince its guardians to allow her passage. Articulate enough. Surely, ignorant in her genius, the girl left her home to cross the river in a raft of her own design. And that is when something truly miraculous happened. Her plan worked. The river's currents, being strangely tranquil that day, allowed her to cross in peace. When she reached the gates, they opened at her first touch. The garden was surprisingly easy to navigate. Its caretakers nodded at her cheerfully as she passed, making no move to impede her. In a matter of moments, the girl accomplished what her father had sought for years. She had reached the great ash tree. The ash tree was far more beautiful than her books had promised. Sunlight streamed through its vivid leaves, diffusing warmth into its shadows. Innumerable baubles hung from the tree's limbs, clinking merrily in the quiet breeze. The air was smooth and sweet. A garden snake crawled out from its home in the roots of the ash tree. Looking up at her, it began to speak. "Welcome to my tree," said the snake. "This tree is yours?" queried the girl, confused. "How can a snake own a tree?" "I was here first," hissed the snake. "I knew this tree before the first men walked on 2 legs." "That doesn't make sense," retorted the girl, who cared a great deal about what did and did not square with her perception of reality. "There's no reptile in the world that could live that long, not even the most resilient of tortoises." "It doesn't make sense, does it?" agreed the snake. "You must be a clever one." "I am the cleverest," preened the girl, puffing out her chest. "All my sisters say so." "You must be, to have made it all the way here," said the snake. "Not many do. Not many even think to look for a way. Few understand that the first step of the journey will take you most of the way there. Would you like to live in my tree, child?" The girl could only laugh, so taken aback was she by the audacity of the snake's offer. "Foolish snake," she chided. "What would a tree full of insects and rodents and who knows what else have to offer me?" "Knowledge," said the snake. "The insects and rodents in my tree are a part of this world, not mere observers. She has taught them all her secrets. She could do the same for you, who shares their unending hunger. Here you could spend your days doing whatever you loved most. Here you could be loved without reservation or condition. Here, if you wish it, you will never be touched by a man ever again." A profound ache opened in the girl's chest. Being accustomed to sudden unexplained pain, she ignored it. "Idiot snake," snapped the girl. "I snapped to my house. I belong to my house. I belong to my father. I have no choice in this matter. I came here to help him burn this place to the ground." "Oh, child," whispered the snake, "there is always a choice." The ache in her doubled in size, then redoubled. It was an emotion she didn't know how to describe. She could not see the shape of it. She did not know the name of the animal in her chest. She shook her head, words abandoning her. To choose between an uncertain happiness and a certain agony was not a choice at all. So accustomed was she to this life that she hated, that joy seemed to be an even greater terror. She could not even visualize it. The girl turned on her heel and fled. She ran away from the great ash tree, through the garden, past the gates, and onto her raft. It wasn't until she had reached the other shore that she ever looked back. Is this story true? Did it really happen? Of course it did. Did your mother never tell you that all stories are true? Claiming exhaustion, SCP-6462-C-1 refused to answer further questions. This is getting wild. Interview 4. The dryness. It's starting to become me. Begin log. I don't suppose you have more questions about my husband. I begin to grow weary of the subject. I'd like to ask about your sisters, actually. What can you tell me about them? Subject is silent for 2 minutes. My sisters are... There was always supposed to be 7 of us. 7 is a number of power, after all, of magic, a portentous symbol. Even in those days when the world was still young, this was known to many. Personally, I prefer to use the rule of 3s in my spellcraft. More flexible. Though, that's not to say I've chosen the path of the 3 and 1. The Mother Maiden Crone is nothing but a shortcut, an illusion of power. Bunch of tatty hacks, the lot of them. Of course, magic in 5s has also been an option for me, being the 5th daughter, the 5th bride, but I've never been the religious sort. The 5thest hub. You said that there was a purpose for the number of your sisters. Were you born to fulfill a particular goal? Yes. Karok is the great destroyer, the beast waiting at the gates, the inevitable end of all things. He can only destroy and take. He cannot create. That is why he needed Sana, my mother. That is why he needed his 7 brides. Does he not need you anymore? Subject is silent for 11 seconds. For the longest time, I looked down on my youngest sister. She was always the weakest of all of us, soft-hearted and weak-willed. But now, I think she did surpass us in one respect. She had the most courage. Why do you say that? She was the only one who ever tried to leave. Subject is silent for 39 seconds. I think I am done speaking now. Interview 5. Begin log. I apologize for ending our previous meeting so abruptly. My imprisonment has left my social skills in rather poor condition. Perhaps you could make it up to me by answering some questions. You are an audacious one. Go on then, scholar. How does the Scarlet King spread his influence to different universes? That is a question with 2 answers. I'd like to hear both. I'd expect nothing less. The first is this. The Scarlet King's greatest weapon is, I believe, his very being. He is like water, you see. Speaking of water. He spreads to fill any open space, pours himself into containers to take their shape. He flows into the hollow spaces of false histories to make them his. SCP-6140. He draws the wills of the like-minded into the tides of his thoughts, pushes them to open doorways, pulls them to spread word of his coming through art and song. He does not create. He takes. He subsumes. He is an unyielding torrent that no dam can contain. Through art, SCP-4505, and song, SCP-4150. That is the first answer. The second answer is a story. Once there was a brass princess who lived in a great and terrible kingdom by the sea. The brass princess was not a thing of flesh, but of metal. You see, the king of this terrible kingdom was full of rage and hate, forever warring against all of creation. No woman was willing to marry him, not even when threatened with torture or death. Thus he ordered the greatest engineer in all the land to build him 7 wives that would stand by his side eternally. The first bride was made of gold. The second bride was made of silver. The third bride was made of bronze. The fourth bride was made of iron. The fifth bride was made of brass. The sixth bride was made of steel. And the seventh, smallest bride was cobbled together with the scraps of metal left behind by the first 6 brides. One day, on the anniversary of the king's birth, he was visited by a man who did not have a name. 3 short scenes about death. That's a tale. The man was pale, tall, and thin. He was knowledgeable in the esoteric arts and was subject to no law but his own. All things that could harbor fear in their hearts held it for him alone. The king was no different. Their meeting was short-lived, a simple exchange of threats and glares across marble halls. Nothing more. Nothing more was necessary for the pale man's purposes. It was not the first time the nameless man had made such a social call, nor would it be the last. But this time was different. After their encounter had run its course, the king found that fear still lurked in his heart, a paranoia that froze his gut and boiled his mind. Seeing the storm brewing beneath his brow, the gold bride, who had earned the title of queen through masterful performances of loyalty, came to him, her face a perfect mask of concern. "What troubles you, husband of mine?" asked the queen. "What could bring such discontent on the celebration of your birth?" "I am concerned," said the king, who was too proud to admit fear of anything. "There are dangers abroad in the world, things that, despite my greatest efforts, could bring me harm." "Surely not," exclaimed the queen. "You are wise and powerful beyond compare, are you not? Are you the master of every land across this world, free to destroy whatever you wish?" "This is true," begrudged the king. "And you have your wives, my king. In whatever danger you may come to face, you shall not do it alone. Are we not the greatest weapons in your arsenal, your brides of metal?" "Yes," he said. He had suddenly become very still. "You are." The queen had not trained in the art of prophecy. She wasn't an oracle. She did not search for omens in gleaming intestines or clattering bones. In fact, she detested the idea that the path of her future could be directed by any hand that was not her own. But in that moment, looking into her husband's burning eyes, she saw a vision of her own death. Later that night, in secret, the queen called the other brides to her quarters to speak of what she saw. "I fear the worst," said the queen, her delicate hands clasped together. "I believe he has grown affrighted of our strength, believing that we may one day turn that strength against him. He would sooner end us than risk his own ending." "You truly are a coward," sneered the bronze bride. "Should we really be panicking over a simple vision?" "We should," whispered the steel bride from behind a chair in the corner of the room. "I saw him as I traveled here in shadow. He stands in his great forge, where he has begun taking up his armaments of war. As we speak, he dons the russet armor he wore when he killed our Creator Mother." For a moment, the other brides were stunned into silence, half due to the steel bride's news, half because she had spoken at all. "Then we kill him, yes?" spoke the Iron Bride, brash as ever. "We take up our own weapons and armor, and we kill him so hard that our people will not be able to conceive how dead he is." "No," said the Silver Bride. "That would perhaps have been possible in the past, were we all working in concert. but not now. Not when he has enshrined himself in fear and violence. He makes himself into a storm. He makes himself untouchable. Our only recourse is to flee. That is no recourse, said the queen. He would set our people upon us and hunt us to the furthest star if he needed to. Listen close, sisters, said the brass bride, a clever glint in her eyes. I have a plan. This should be good, snorted the bronze bride. Hush, said the queen. Our sister is wise in the ways of magic and many other things besides. We should hear her out. To survive, there is only one thing we can do, said the brass bride. We must convince him to spare our lives. You see, I have a proposal for him. Instead of slaying us, he will instead seal each of us away in a prison of his own design. In sealing his 7 brides away, he shall seal himself away as well. This is the way of things. You've gone rusted, haven't you? Cried the silver bride, beside herself with fear. There's a dent in your head, isn't there? Your gears must be crooked. Why would he ever agree to that? The answer is simple, said the brass bride. In sealing himself away, he creates a lock that separates him from all worlds. The presence of a lock implies the presence of a door that it keeps shut, implies a key that may open it. Magic, you see, is a thing of symbols and implication. Something implied or symbolized is something that can be made real. He creates a lock, a set of chains, a closed door that shuts him off from all worlds. And the thing about doors is, they open both ways. A door that cuts off all worlds is a door that may open to any world. All he needs is someone to make a key, to use symbols of the 7 sealed brides to open the way. Surely you jest, growled the scrap metal bride, who had not spoken since the meeting began. Surely this is a corroded joke at our expense. Surely you would not aid our husband in his war against creation just to prolong our lives. Surely you would not be so monstrous. Monstrous, perhaps, replied the brass bride, but also necessary. His paranoia was not entirely unfounded. We are perhaps one of the only things in the world that may one day kill him. To preserve all things, we must first preserve ourselves. As the rest of her sisters murmured with their agreement, the scrap metal bride could only blink back angry, oily tears. Do what you will, she muttered. Just know that I can see through your lies, sister, even if you cannot. The king sent each of his brides to a prison of his own design. The gold bride was trapped in a bird cage and brought to one of the king's greatest allies as a gift. The silver bride was cast into a shattered ocean. The bronze bride was sold to the denizens of the deepest hell. The iron bride was entombed in the heart of a hateful star, which fed on her pain to only grow brighter. The steel bride was sent to a place that had no name. The scrap metal bride, who had never been loyal to the king, was imprisoned in the king's palace, where he could keep an eye on her personally. Finally, the brass bride was brought to a hidden junkyard, where knowledge held no meaning, made hollow by the wind. The king knew that his wife was clever, knew that her finely tuned mind could unravel any trap he placed her in, rebuild any piece of her he broke. So it was her mind that he chose to break. He reached into her head and ground her clockwork thoughts into a fine powder. With this final act of cruelty, the princess was brought low and dispersed as a mist into the dark. Why do you answer some questions with direct answers and others with lengthy stories? Perhaps it is because the walls of narratives arrange answers you can never understand into recognizable patterns. Perhaps my bindings prevent me from speaking of certain topics, which I circumvent through symbol and circumlocution. Perhaps I have grown whimsical in my old age and isolation. Perhaps I enjoy listening to you twist in the wind as you grasp for understanding. Perhaps storytelling is the only thing left to me, sealed in this forsaken place. Fine. Was this story also given to you by my mother? Or by your mother? I never knew you. I never knew my mother. She died before I was born. And then, at long last, interview 6. There's another story, but it's not nearly as long. Begin log. We need to talk, Anut. Everything that's been happening with you doesn't add up. Oh? In what way? Don't play dumb with me. You're not the first contained deity I've dealt with before. I know how you act, and it isn't like this. At no point have you ever tried to convince me to let you out. No threats, no promises of God wishes, not even a simple request of freedom. You would prefer that I threaten you? I would prefer that you stop acting suspicious as hell. I'm rather surprised that your fellow scholars would allow you to speak to your interview subject in such a manner. I'm in charge of this project. How I speak is my own prerogative. The thing is, you've made this so easy. Information given with barely any resistance. And don't think I haven't noticed how your little stories are clearly about yourself. There's only one reason you'd have for any of this. You're planning something. Was that a question? No. I don't ask questions I already know the answer to. You have been most entertaining, scholar. I thank you. As a token of my appreciation, I propose a game of sorts. I shall tell you one final tale. If you can divine the true meaning buried in the prose, I shall make my intentions bare to you. Deception will no longer lie between us. And if I fail, no more interviews. Not with you, not with anyone. I shall lie here in silence until the end of time and beyond. How can I trust you to tell the truth if I win this game? You know what sort of creature I am. A mutually agreed upon deal is a powerful thing. I do not consider the breaking of oaths lightly. Alright, fine. Tell me your story. Once, there was a haze of disconnected thoughts that floated in an unceasing abyss. The haze was not a girl, or a princess, or a person. It was not made of glass, or brass, or flesh. It was a vapid, drifting thing. It could not understand what a person was, could not comprehend what it was to be an I or a you. It understood nothing, feeling everything. The haze had neither past nor future, forever suspended in an agonizing now. Adrift in the sweltering void, it shuddered with fevered nightmares. It wept. It watched with idle, vacant eyes as its fault lines groaned and ground against one another, spreading spider webs of stress fractures. The thing was a tectonic shift, a ceaseless churn, a flooded temple. Kingdoms rose and fell, oceans overflowed, then exsanguinated in the dirt. Stars were born in exaltations of light, matured and auto-cannibalized, and still it slept on. The world flowed and cracked, the yolk dripping through the ruins of its mind, past the teeth of its heart. The sky was engulfed in hungry flame, the gardens suffocated, and the rivers bloomed with tumors. It was all ending. Everything was ending, always ending. An unceasing chain of doomsday. The prophecies were all true. The soothsayer's entrails were warm and slick in its red-stained palms. And its sister said, "There is no such thing as an ending." And its father said, "Don't cry, sweet things. Don't cry. I'll give you a reason to fucking cry." And its mother said, "I'm sorry." And its mother said, "Just hold on. Hold on." And its mother said, "Come home." And a dream came, and the dream was made of vellum. And in the dream it saw the girl, and the garden snake, and the sunlight streaming through the leaves of the great ash tree. "There is always a choice," said the world. And the woman remembered who she was. Well, do you have an answer for me, scholar? Give me a moment. I'm thinking. Stories. Why did she choose stories specifically? I think narratives are quite interesting, don't you? They're the only tool I have left. In a way, they are much like magic. They follow the laws of emotion and symbol. They do what feels right, not what is right. And like a spell, a story can take so many shapes. A comedy, a tragedy, a romance, a mystery, a misdirection. A story can be nearly anything. It could be, say, a tantalizing thread of questions spoken into the spectrum of radiation, buried so deep in the firmament that one's father would never see it, but someone truly dedicated to scouring the world of its secrets could. A story could take the shape of a winding chain, or a key in 3 parts, or an open door. Oh, fuck. To tell a story is akin to speaking an incantation. With the right words, you can bring someone to a different world, or take someone out of it. Madras speaking into her portable radio. "Site command, I need you to detonate the warhead now!" And if one's audience is listening intently, recording and analyzing every word, every turn of phrase, there's no end to what you could do. "Yes, now! This is a code nightmare Region Red. 6462 is about to breach containment." About to? Oh, but you are mistaken, my dearest scholar. We left nearly a minute ago. SCP-6462 Offset 1. What is this? Oh. Wanderer's Library. There's so much reading. It's almost 11 at night. Yeah, no. No. That's SCP-6462 for tonight. If you want to read this, go to the Wanderer's Library, which, is a portal in the SCP Wiki. Read this passage in your own time. I am too tired. And my mouth and throat is dry to fuck. Finishing off my water. This was a ride. It was a long ride. But I'm intrigued. I am very intrigued. It's still fairly new, so I imagine the rating of 72 is probably going to grow higher over time. Definitely shares connections with SCP-6000 in some ways. Oh, but yeah, that's enough of SCP for tonight. I know I started late. So I thank you all Lily Pals for bearing with me. Whew, Okay. I'm not gonna hold up the remainder of stream too much longer. Yeah, but this was a really interesting ride within SCP once again. I definitely need something to eat, and I'm probably gonna grab more drink. In fact, I'll probably brew some coffee. We just got another bottle of syrup that I can use. Anyway, this week I'm going to be streaming again on Thursday, like I have been in the past, but due to recent developments with my appointments, instead of visiting every 3 weeks, we're now going on a weekly basis, and it's likely going to be every Thursday. So I'm probably going to be moving my second weekly stream to a different day. I'm thinking either I'm going to stream Mondays and Tuesdays, like just right up together. Well, I don't know. I like to maintain at least a relative, like, at least fair amounts of time between both of my streams, but I very well could be up for a third stream weekly. It's something I have been thinking about, but we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. So this week, I'm going to be streaming on Thursday, but next week, I'll stream on Monday again, and then, with the loss of Thursdays, you could probably count on me streaming either on Wednesdays or Fridays. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, that's just something I wanted all of my Lily Pals to be informed about. 'Cause I like streaming for y'all. I like streaming, and I want to keep streaming consistently, in any which way I am able. Anyhow, I wonder if anyone is still alive to raid. Yeah. There's quite a few that we could pass on our company to. Thank you all again, Lily Pals, for tuning in and sticking with me, even though it's so late. Raid message for subs and then non-subs is as such. How about we raid Ellie? We haven't raided Ellie in a while. LED, the fellow member of Mula Yakuza, playing Genshin right now. As for next stream, I'm not sure what I'll do. I've been thinking about getting back to either Lenin or Dwarf Fortress or Minecraft. Minecraft, specifically Pixelmon, because I know I haven't done anything Pokemon related in a while. So VTLED. Go give them some love. Give them some love. Some froggy friendship. Alright, that's about all I have for tonight, Lily Pals. Thank you all for your support. Thank you, Nyrene and Nightrio, again for the raids. I hope you all have a restful and delightful time zone. I will see you all on Thursday. Oh, Yasumi!